Iain, lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for being here. Why is it so important that you give this speech in this presentation area? Why is it that people needed to know?
Because we believe, and in fact we know, that many people misunderstand sprinklers. They think they know how they work. It's a lot easier to give people new information than to actually re-educate them. If they think they know how they work, they're kind of reluctant to change their minds, and that's what we're finding. People think they all go off at once, which is thanks to many Hollywood films where it's used as a plot device, etc. They think they do an immense amount of water damage, whereas in fact they use a fraction of the water that fire service would need to put on the same fire, and indeed it puts it on earlier, so actually the fire's smaller. It puts it out before the fire brigade even hear about it, and often you don't hear about sprinklers being actuated because it's a non-event. The factory's back up and running in hours.
It's fascinating. It's incredible stuff, because there's stuff that I had no idea. I learned from Hollywood movies, the same as many people. But you presumably they think we've installed a sprinkler or we want to install a sprinkler. Do you think people get stuck in their ways of knowledge? And one of the things we've learned here is new technology. And actually they think this is how it works and don't feel they need to re-educate themselves.
Yes, it is old. Sprinklers are old technology, but it's a very viable technology. It's as I said in my talk, it's a bit like a bike. You can't really improve on the design because it works so well. And because people now look at value engineering, if I can call it that, they look at a building and they try and get all the costs they can out of it. And because sprinklers, and I mentioned one sprinkler worked after 100 years in a building, well, that's not a bad return on investment. Okay, it didn't go off for 99 years, but that's not a failure because it went off when it was needed.
And that's the most important thing. Is sprinklers something that people don't want to install because of what they feel they know?
Exactly, because they think they will go off. They think they'll be hit by somebody and they'll have water damage, etc. We have this issue with historic houses. The people who are responsible for the heritage say, we can't put them in there because it will destroy the heritage. It might get damp, you can bring that back. If it's char, you can't recover it.
I mean, it seems a crazy thing to say, because if it catches fire, it's not coming back anyway.
Yeah.
And is this something that you find is getting tougher and tougher to tell people, or are more people now waking up to it after, let's be honest, horrific recent events?
I'm afraid you're all too right. After Grenfell and other events around the world, but if you look at the fire in Barking just a few days ago, where fire spread up the outside of a building, I think there's a bit of complacency in this society. We've thought that fire is not a problem. We're building with new and innovative products, that's fine. But actually, unless you protect the building, those products may burn. We've got to make sure that people get out, and better still, that the building stands. Why build a disposable building when you can protect it with sprinklers?
It does seem crazy when you put it like that, doesn't it? How is it tough to educate everyone about this, or is it something people are genuinely turning around to?
I think people are genuinely, especially in the light of recent tragic events, people are beginning to think, oh, actually, is there something we can do about it? In a way, because sprinklers have been around for so long, they're not new cutting edge, so people think, oh, they're old style. What do they do for us? What they do is they protect you. It's like having a fire service on call 24/7 in your attic.
Why here? Why FIREX? I mean, it's huge, isn't it? But why? What is it about this event that makes you want to come here and to speak to people?
Because even though you would expect that most people in the fire sector would understand about sprinklers, there still are the myths and beliefs amongst many people that they are a panacea, or are not rather a panacea. What we're trying to say is not that they're a panacea, but they're an underutilised layer. Remember I mentioned Dame Judith Haggett came out with this concept of layers of fire safety protection. And what we're trying to say to all the other elements in the fire industry who are part of that layered protection system is sprinklers have their role, as does AFD, automatic fire detection, means of escape, etc., fire doors, structural, everything has its place. Because a holistic system is much better, much more robust than relying on one thing. I'd rather rely on a fire door and a sprinkler and a fire service and a portable extinguisher than just one of them.
And may I say, what is it about FIREX that is such an incredible event that year after year people come? It's biggest in Europe.
Well, because everybody comes to it. It has its own gravitation. Because everybody's here, everybody wants to come here. And why wouldn't you?
And finally, is the future changing? Do you think sprinklers will be much more accessible and people will turn and start using them?
I believe so, because as I said before, I really want people to start thinking about sprinklers at an early stage. If they discount them for good and valid reasons, that's fine. But a lot of people discount them and then realise afterwards it could have saved time, money and maybe even lives.
Ian, such a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome.